Anybody ever flatlined? I hope not. It was not fun. Well, as I'm flatlined, has anybody seen the movie Heaven Can Wait, or Heaven is for Real? Does anybody think that can happen? Okay. Well, I'll tell you, it happened. At that time, my surgeon pronounced me dead at 8:46 a.m. Okay? My surgeon was a very little guy, and he wore the funniest shoes that day, because I told him his pink camouflage shoes were very hideous. And they were playing Christmas music that day. I watched them work on me to get me, you know, there was panic in the room, but it's okay. I still laughed at him. And as I came back alive again, I saw experiences that some people, you know, wouldn't believe, but it happened. I was told that I was to go back to my life and continue working with special needs adults and kids and teach. And I argued, and I says no, because I argued with my grandmothers. It was my grandmothers that were there. And they says, your life is not over. I says, yes it is. I'm ready, I'm done. I said, no, we're not taking you to heaven. I says, yes you are. No, Jen. I says, okay. Well, if you're not gonna take me, is there some word of advice you should tell me? And they says, yes. They told me, be especially fond and careful of all your family members because you won't have everybody for very long. And I was like, okay. So I remembered that. Well, 2 days later, after surgery, I was still put in a medically induced coma, okay? Because my brain had swollen up so much. Well, they'd gotten my tumor out. Sorry, I'm backtracking. They took a slice of the tumor because you have to send it to pathology. Anybody know why they would send it to pathology? Have it examined for cancer. So they were waiting for a quick pathology lab to come back, and they determined it was non-cancerous. Okay, yay, one thing good. So that was a positive. Well, here I am, second day, on a ventilator. I had a machine breathing for me. They left a part of my skull open. Anybody know why they would do that?
To give your brain room to swell.
Thank you. Swelling, major issue. So they did that. Well, I just lost my thought, I'm sorry. Well, the doctors were doing all their neuro testing on me, and the doctor says, put your hand out. Squeeze my fingers. That's what they're expecting. I looked at him and I said, I can't move. I says, the only thing I could move was my little pinky. They laughed at me. They said, move, squeeze. I says, I can't. They says, well, kick us. They had their hands on my feet. Well, kick me. I says, I can't. They says, well, your brain, where it was, brain tumor was at, should not affect your movement, your coordination. I says, I can't move. They said, quit teasing us. I says, I'm not. Well, a couple of days later, they would keep coming in and checking me. Nothing happened. I was still paralyzed. Okay? Not a happy camper. But I was alive. Well, about day 4 or day 5, I can't exactly remember, my surgical team was in there to check up on me, and I said, doctor, I says, I know the time you pronounced me dead, and he says, how do you know that? And I told him, and he verified what time I told him. He says, you are correct. And I verified the shoes and the music. And he was stunned. And he looked at me and I says, Dr. Rosner, I want my death certificate. He says, I can't give you a death certificate because you didn't die. I says, yes I did, but that's okay. Well, everything was fine and dandy. So that procedure took 12 hours, I'm sorry, of my brain surgery. Very long procedure. Okay. The next day after surgery, I forgot to tell you, they took me back into an MRI, and you can see that tumor's gone. This over here is a picture of brain fluid that has still been cooling because it had really no place to go with all the pressure up there. Question?
How long did you have the tumor before you found out?
They don't know if I was born with it, or they think it started to develop as I was a child. So it's still, don't know. Okay, my tumor right now is at a lab here in Missouri being studied. Because they're trying to figure out why it grew so big and why women are more susceptible to mangiomas than men are. So that's cool. I'm also in the medical book, the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology, for having the biggest tumor. So I feel pretty privileged to be able to have that information out there for doctors to be able to pull for resources to learn from. So I thought that was pretty interesting to still see that the cerebral fluid still was not moving. Yes?
So did they have any idea why it happened, like head trauma or something?
They don't know. They just don't know. Because you know the meninges is the outer part of your brain, and they don't know if it just somehow got rewired or recircled, connected. They're baffled.
Did your blood start flowing the right way after?
Yes. After they took it out, everything started to redirect. There is a actress, I don't know if you guys are familiar with. Be ready. Do you know who Mary Tyler Moore is? You've heard of her? She had a brain tumor, meningioma also. She was successful with hers. Yes?
Did they ever find out like why your blood was circulating down there?
They think it was the way that it was positioned and reattached. They don't know either. Okay. So, down the road, there's on the side view, you can see where they reattached my skull. Whoops.
You might,
There's arrows at the bottom.
on the far, they went away when you,
I'm probably gonna screw it up.
just hit the back arrows.
The back arrows.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, sorry.